All right. Hi, everyone. We are just taking this live now. We have one more segment on the TV side of things here. We'll wrap that up, and then we've got the remainder of the next half an hour up until 8 o'clock on the stream. So if you have any questions, feel free to send them our way. We'll answer them during the show and then also during the commercial break, and we'll go from there. Final thoughts? I'll go Howard, Joe, myself.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone, to end the first half hour. As we always do, it is time for final thoughts from the game yesterday and from the first 8 weeks of the season. Howard, floor is yours.
Big thought is what Joe had during his layover meal on his flight back from Seattle, but I'll let him share that with us later. Did anybody have the Bills clinching the AFC East at Halloween? Raise your hand if you had them clinching the AFC East at Halloween.
No.
All right, I know I'm jumping the gun a little bit, but I mean, you could not ask for a better day yesterday.
Yeah, it was pretty perfect.
Miami losing on a walk-off field goal, the Jets somehow finding a way to lose to a bad Patriots team, and the Bills blowing out Seattle. If the Jets, by the way, play Houston Thursday, if the Jets lose, they're 2-7.
Yep.
If the Bills beat Miami, the Miami Dolphins are 2-6. The Bills are basically 5 up on the Dolphins in the loss column and 6 on the Jets, and we're just past Halloween.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, you want to talk about firm control? Man, plus passing game looks really good.
Yeah.
Really good. Legit top 3 receivers. Very happy about that.
What did you have on your layover?
It is pointless. It's not even like it was French onion soup. What are we talking
I
about?
just never think of French onion soup in an airport, but you had like what kind of burger did you have?
It's just a cheeseburger.
Oh, no, wasn't it
and
and a
bacon.
fried egg? Yeah, fried egg and
Perfect.
bacon. That's a great meal for an airport.
I really enjoyed it after a 5-hour flight. I think, for going off your point, they had pretty close to a perfect day. I mean, we all thought that they would be able to move the ball on the Seattle Seahawks offense. The way that the defense dominated how they did and forced Geno Smith to really turn into a pass fest without his top receiver in DK Metcalf, they just couldn't push the ball down the field, and he had to depend on all this underneath stuff. But going even further than that, the fact that the Bills didn't even have a single person go to the blue medical tent the entire game.
That's a good point.
So you have the Jets losing in the final minute, the Dolphins losing in the final minute, the Bills dominating on both sides of the ball, and no injuries to speak of.
Yeah.
On top of that, Terrell Bernard's getting healthier, and Sean McDermott said it's not a matter of if, but when Matt Milano comes back in the week leading up to the Seahawks game. So we'll see when that happens.
A lot of reasons to be excited. Another reason to be excited is this is the beginning of the holiday season. I do this every single year. The music is just exceptional. All right. On Thursday, it's Halloween. After Halloween, you've got the graphics too. This is beautiful. After Halloween, people will start listening to Christmas music. And every year, that becomes a very divisive topic. Some people are like, it's way too early to listen to Christmas music. Other people are like, we're all in. Let people enjoy things that they want to enjoy. If on November 1st, I want to listen to beautiful Christmas music, let me live. Don't give me a hard time. And if you are like me out there and you want to listen to Christmas music, you should do it too. Don't judge us. Don't think differently of us. Enjoy what you want to enjoy. Look at Santa there. Don't be a Grinch this holiday season. Let people enjoy what they want to enjoy. Thank you, everyone. That is my rant. Well, let's listen to this beautiful music as we get ready for the second half an hour. As the music stops. Look at those Grinches in the control room.
Everybody.
Thank you. All right, we'll be back on the other side of the break with more Bills talk, less Christmas.
Merit roll.
Ho, ho, ho.
Merit roll Bove. New fantasy team name. Sabres are already losing 2-0.
Oh, my.
Everyone. We are live on the stream here. Hello, everyone. Dom Tibbetts. I tuned in, and within 3 seconds, Bove had the guys talking about soup. Incredible devotion to the bit. I mean, that's a really good airport meal. I agree.
It's a good airport meal.
Detroit Airport,
Oh, Detroit's the best.
the most underrated layover airport in America.
Detroit is the best airport,
They got
and I
soup
agree.
and burgers.
Detroit and
Fried
BWI are the 2 best airports, and I think that they're
I
fantastic.
think Detroit might have BWIB, but it's up for discussion.
Best bathrooms from the control room at Detroit or at BWI?
Bathrooms?
You said-
Baltimore,
Yeah.
they've upgraded their bathrooms for
Yeah,
sure.
Oh my God.
They've got
Baltimore's
Detroit beat for bathrooms.
Really?
Baltimore's
Oh, yeah.
a pretty stellar.
I'm not sure I want to know why.
Baltimore's a pretty stellar airport. One thing I did want to talk about.
Detroit's efficiency.
A couple people, were mentioning how many Bills fans were at the game yesterday, and there were a lot. But it's an elite road city. Like, it is.
I love that place.
One of the best stadiums in the NFL.
It's my favorite. It was like I woke up at because I was still on East Coast time.
Uh-huh.
I woke up. I walked down from my hotel to the original Starbucks.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say.
Wow.
I walked down and beat everybody there.
Yeah.
Got to kind of look around down at Pike Place, that whole area.
It's funny. I did the exact same thing.
But
I've never been to
missed me.
Seattle. That's cool.
It's
You guys enjoyed it.
I
It was
love
great.
it.
Then I went.
Was
went
it
to the
loud,
stadium.
like the 12th man and all that stuff, or the game was so bad?
I
they
couldn't
just-
really tell.
Okay.
Honestly.
Yeah.
It's
Connie
not
says,
open-air
"How
press
is
box, I
Seattle?
assume.
How much? Oh, yeah. All right, 30 out. I forgot I got to call in on this thing.
You want to do your
What
job?
number?
Yeah, please.
I think the guy was.
Stephon Diggs not expected to play Thursday, according to Ian Rappaport.
What number? Say it through the all call, please.
He didn't say how long on that. That looked bad too. That was a non-contact knee.
It's tough.
Welcome to our second half an hour of Leading the Charge here on Channel 7. Matt Bove, Howard Simon, Joe Biscaglia, following the Bills' 31-10 win against the Seattle Seahawks. The conversation, as we do in the second half an hour, is now also online, not just on television. So if you want to join us, ask us some questions. We would be more than happy to answer some of them. Jerome says, great game yesterday. I feel like a lot of people obviously feel the same thing. Connie says, Diggs hurt his knee, had MRI today. You just said you saw an update on the Diggs injury from yesterday?
He's just not expected to play on Thursday, which was kind of expected, but
Sure.
he was supposed to get an MRI today. It did not look good.
Yeah,
It was a non-contact.
yeah,
like he just
non-contact
grabbed his
knee injuries are always tricky.
And he's a free agent at the end of the year, so that's a tough situation for him.
When we think about yesterday's game, there's a lot of different ways we can go. Is there anything in particular you guys want to start with? We can talk offense, we can talk defense. I feel like we covered a lot of our bases in the first half an hour, but is there anything we didn't get to or anything you want to talk more about, Howard? We can start
You know
with
what? A couple things I liked. I like Josh was throwing the ball downfield. You were talking about explosive plays the Bills have been giving up this year.
Mhm.
They rolled them out on the passing game yesterday. They had 5 pass plays of 20-plus yards, 2 to Knox, I think 2 to Coleman, and Shakir had a 35-yarder. So I like the fact, Joe, that they were stretching the field. They had everything going. They're stretching the field. They got the running game working with Cook. I mean, it was just a really good day. Again, the only negative was the penalties. Josh was in a nice rhythm. He even had an interception, and he came back just fine after that. I'm really impressed with. You go back to halftime, the second half of the Tennessee game, and this whole game yesterday. We've been talking all season about this offense and Josh and the passing game. A couple weeks ago, they were averaging a little over 200 passing yards a game. It's gone up. In the last 6 quarters, they look like the Bills' offenses we got used to the last few years that were among the best in the league.
What's funny is I went back this morning and I reread my column that I wrote from after the Texans game, which was when they played Stephon Diggs, and he had more receptions and receiving yards combined than the entire Bills receiving room. Now, they were without Khalil Shakir in that game, but just to see how far that they have come, and for them to have made the changes that they have made, the tangible changes, which is going out and getting an Amari Cooper, going out or releasing Marquez Valdez-Scantling because he was completely inefficient, and isolating their snaps to their best 3 receivers, which is a logical step for them. Doing all of those things. Amari Cooper did not have a big statistical game, but his impact was felt on the field because when he is on the field, things just tend to open up a bit more. You saw that even on his 12 routes against the Titans. When I went back and I did the all 22 before the Seahawks game of that Titans game, going and seeing what he was able to do on plays that did not go to him is just evident of the type of respect he's going to command from individual defenders when they see him coming at them. So to me, even though he didn't have a huge impact, having him out on the field for, I think it was around 53% of his snaps, that's continuing to push in the right direction. This is a great offensive environment right now.
Yeah.
Josh Allen is playing incredibly well.
Yep.
James Cook has been really good. Ray Davis is a very good spell back.
Mhm.
The receiver group has really rounded into form. Dalton Kincaid, he has not been as impactful as maybe people would have wanted, but he's still a really good receiving tight end. And the offensive line, I'm not going to stop saying it. This is the best offensive line they've ever had in front of Josh Allen.
I mean, this is a comment from Luann. It says, good connections all around offense, defense, and special teams. I know that's not a question, but I do think that kind of speaks to the kind of game we watched yesterday. The offense was good. The defense was good. Special teams, there weren't any major concerns. There was one Brandon Codrington punt return that he should have just let go into the end zone.
Sean McDermott made about 4 subtle mentions to that in his after the game news conference.
Yeah.
And I marked it in my notebook.
Yeah. Cali
Codrington
strokes.
subtle mentions.
Yeah.
And he was not happy.
Yeah, he
about
was
that.
not happy. You know, like those are plays that could end up hurting you. They obviously did not for the Bills, because of all the other things that we mentioned. So we are going to take a quick break on the TV side of things. We'll come back in just a couple minutes. We'll continue to have this conversation online during the commercial. Don't go anywhere. You're watching the second half hour of Leading the Charge.
Yeah, I ran out of room on my column. I was going to write about the Codrington thing.
Yeah.
Joe says, Matt, are you upset the Aaron Rodgers return isn't going as expected? Yeah, Joe, I'm just absolutely crushed. Like that, I mean, what do they do? If they lose to the Texans,
They lose to the Texans.
They're going to be.
How they lose to New England?
They're going to. If they lose to the Texans, now the Texans, no Nico Collins, no Stephon
Yeah,
Diggs.
that's true.
They're going to trade for Zach Wilson.
Oh, the Jets.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
Is there any way? And I'm not even kidding. Is there any way they would trade Devontae Adams?
Why?
You don't think they would cut their loss if you're 2-7? What's
No,
the
because
point?
Is he under contract?
they'll
beyond
still
the season?
believe that they have a sniff at a wild card game, because
At 2-7,
who are the wild card teams right now after Baltimore?
But the second place team in the AFC North is in.
That's Baltimore right now.
So Pittsburgh will probably get a wild card.
I know, but I'm saying
Whatever.
who are the two teams.
There's
after
one
the
there.
AFC North second place team.
Nobody else from the
Well,
East.
right now it's the Chargers and the Broncos are the teams
There you
we're
go.
talking about. But
they are
That's right.
able to be.
Jags no. Titans no. Colts no.
The Colts are in the
I don't
mix,
think the Colts
Broncos are 5-3.
unless they go to Flacco.
which is what I'm saying. Even though they're going to be 2-7, they can
Yeah, it's
they
a
can
bad.
actually talk
right.
themselves into going, okay, if we rattle off some wins in a row, hey, maybe 9-8 does it.
But here's the thing about that, though, and you're not wrong. They still have to play the Dolphins twice. Now, that could end up being an advantage to them because it's like, oh, win both of those games. Then you sink your opponent.
Yeah.
But I think for like the Bills and for the rest of the AFC, those teams are going to beat up on each other. Realistically, you probably split, right? Like, let's just think about this rationally.
You'd be raising the white flag if you're the Jets if you did that, and I just don't think I would do that.
They're not going to do that. Woody Johnson's not going to do that.
Tom, I like this question that you have. Let's save
Not
this
if you're just
for
paying
when we
us on
come
Reddit
back
what
from
they did.
TV.
That's right.
Because
They're
this
all
is-
in.
This
They got
is
Adams
something
and they
that I
paid
wanted to
them
get
come
to. Tom has a question about trades, and when we come back from the commercial,
Deadline next
we'll
week?
talk about that. Deadline is a
November
week
5th,
from tomorrow,
4 p.m. Eastern,
November 5th.
Tuesday.
1 minute. Let's see. Tiffany just says, "What's your prediction for the Miami game?" Tiffany, a little bit too early. Like they're big time favorites.
I got to watch the tape.
They should absolutely win. You're looking at us like we're crazy. They should win. They should beat Miami.
Yeah.
It's in Buffalo. They beat them on the road. They beat them handedly on the road. The only thing about that game, it got out of control for Miami because of the turnovers. There were 3 turnovers in that
Tua
game.
got hurt.
That inflated the score a bit. One of them was a pick
really,
six.
really bad throw by Tua.
Yeah. So, like, I think that this game will be closer
And
than
he
probably.
usually does not do those. sorts
No,
of
he
things.
usually doesn't. I still think that Miami is a
they'll-
legitimate,
I think
playoff
they'll make a
contender,
run.
yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
even though their start is bad.
I mean-
All right, we'll be right back. We're coming back on
What did they
TV.
score? 27 yesterday? I forget what their final total was.
All right, welcome back, everyone. So this is a question from Tom. Now, it's relevant because the NFL trade deadline is a week from tomorrow. So November 5th, 4 o'clock. I think that's the biggest thing going on that day is the NFL trade deadline.
Anything else
The Sabres also play that day, so I know that's what everybody is trying to
November.
focus on. It says, do you see the Bills trading for another linebacker for depth? Sounds like the majority of the media is not confident with Balin Spector. If I guess if I'm part of the majority of the media, I think that that's an area that they can improve for sure. But I also think that if they were going to make a move, there's other places that they should focus on. So I kind of want to shift the question a little bit to that. If they're going to make one more move or a couple more moves, what should they be doing as we're a week out from the deadline?
I know what Joe's going to say.
Go ahead, Howard.
You know, you could start.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I actually wrote an article about this that we'll be posting this week. But I will say the number one ranked on this list for me is a backup offensive lineman. And that is because, and you have heard me wax poetic about how good this offensive line has been. You know what they've also been? Ridiculously healthy.
From last year.
For a year and a half now.
Right.
They have not gone into a game without their designed starting five of their last, let's see, how many games did they play last year? 19 plus 8, 27 games without a single game lost. The depth of the offensive line is somewhat of a concern because you have 3 guys who are game day active every week, and Alec Anderson, Ryan Vandemark, Cedric Van Pran Granger. None of them have made a start. Alec Anderson is getting out there as the 6th offensive lineman that they announce every once in a while throughout the game. Ryan Vandemark got a few snaps in Miami last week. Cedric Van Pran Granger is a rookie and has only played in garbage time.
Sure.
So this is a legitimate situation. If something should happen, and this is like, it's an insurance policy. Go out, get somebody who is a fringe starter from somewhere else, just increase your depth. And that way you have a roster spot for him because Will Clapp is a game day inactive. You can cut him, put him back on the practice squad, and then you have a veteran to help the room. And so it's someone who maybe has a tackle guard versatility.
I would say safety depth. Tom's question, linebacker, I don't think so. At the very least, if it's now a matter of when, not if with Milano, that's another reason why I don't think they would go get another linebacker.
Yeah, I mean, having those two out on the field together would be pretty remarkable because we haven't seen it since, week 5 of last year.
It also changes the kind of complexion of the defense because now they don't have to go to the dime look on 3rd down anymore once Matt Milano's fully up to speed, and that makes him that much more unpredictable from a play calling standpoint.
Yeah, I think for me, I think you both hit the nail on the head. It's unrealistic. I still would think about another receiver. I know there's no chance they would. My point is,
why would you take snaps away from Shakir, Coleman, or Cooper?
My point is you would be taking snaps away from Hollins or potentially Dawson Knox or potentially Curtis Samuel, who has done nothing up to this point. And that's my thought of
then you're taking snaps away from Kincaid too.
Yeah, that's bad.
Yeah, which is not obviously what you would want. It's also a bit of an insurance policy because right now they're relatively healthy. We'll see what happens. I think that they'll do something, but I don't think it'll be like a big time blockbuster move. Really?
Yeah, I'm not sold that they do.
All right, well, I guess we're going to find out a week from now. One of the questions we just got asked was about Amari Cooper. So coming up on the other side of the break, we will talk about the guy who we spent most of the last episode talking about, but haven't mentioned really once up until this point. So now we will. This is a comment from John. Safety position still a concern for the Bills. Should they play Cole Bishop more? Either of you guys want to tackle that one?
Snaps yesterday, Joe, on
What's
defense?
That?
Cole, did he get any snaps?
Cole Bishop didn't have a snap yesterday?
0.
Okay.
There was no garbage time snaps.
So should Cole Bishop play more? And his safety position still a concern? I mean, I think yes to the first part.
Yes and yes.
Yes and yes.
Why weren't there garbage time snaps for the defense?
Because the Seattle offense couldn't stay on the field.
Okay. Yeah. Because I was going to say, you could have definitely, at 31-3, you could have put him in.
Yeah, they could have, but they wanted to. Because Seattle is a weird team where if they get one thing going, then it's like a snowball down a hill.
Okay.
So I think McDermott understood the type of opponent they were up against and just wanted to make sure that was out of the equation entirely.
What do you do if you're trying to fix the safety position? Are you too far into it now that they're
not going to replace him as long as they keep winning. There's
DeMar? Yeah.
They're not going to replace him.
Taylor Rapp has kind of solidified that spot.
There's no way that they take Taylor Rapp out of the starting lineup.
Yeah.
My guess is that they are just holding in a holding pattern until Micah is ready. That's my guess.
And then if he comes back, he takes over for DeMar and it's him and Taylor Rapp.
Because think about it conceptually from this standpoint. If you put Cole Bishop into the lineup, that's your 2nd round pick, and then you bench him for the guy who's been away from the team for 5 months.
Yeah,
that's not a great look.
Yeah, I get that,
and that might not be great for just from a confidence standpoint for the young guy.
By the way, if Hyde does sign, how much time from the day he signs would he need before he could actually get into a game? How many weeks?
2.5 to 3, where he would start to mix in, and then he'd probably be a full-time player
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
I was going to say,
I was saying,
I would think you'd need a month.
I'm
to be
thinking,
up to
I'm
full
thinking
time.
if it happens after the bye week.
So
that would be my guess.
Maybe after what?
First
10th game?
full week of practice he would be there would be ahead of the Niners game.
okay. See, I feel like it would be better to do it the week before the bye week to kind of give like the little like
But then you're
runway.
taking Thanksgiving away from Micah Hyde and family.
Well, no, they're home.
But he can come back. What's the Niners game? 11,
Something like that.
I think, right?
It's on
All I
December 1st, right?
So that would give him
yeah.
a good 6 or 7 games before the playoffs begin.
Yeah,
That's plenty of time to be.
All
on
I know is that they only have one road game for the next month, basically, and that is a very exciting. Yeah, Indy next weekend,
And
that
we
is
love
a-
Indy around here.
and we love Indy. You know, big
I'm gonna
Indy
check to see if
people.
there's a Pacers game, by the way.
Oh,
Maybe the Spurs are in
please
town.
look that up and let me know.
I am 100% sure they are not in town.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
I
all right,
wish.
10 seconds coming back.
I'm looking that up right now.
That would have been nice.
We went to a Pacers game the last time we were there for the combine. It was awesome.
Very cool.
Welcome back, everyone. Comment from Craig. This is not a question, but I agree with it. He says, got to stop with the penalties. And that is definitely something that we should probably talk about. That was the biggest negative.
Is that
really,
Sean
from the game.
McDermott?
Sean McDermott is watching the show. Hi, Sean. Thanks for watching.
He changed his name.
13 penalties yesterday. I know some of them are ticky-tack, and I know there were some nonsense calls there, but that is definitely something that they need to clean up. Now, this is a question from Brian. I think this is a good question. Do you feel that the production between Josh Allen and Amari Cooper will pick up as the season goes on? And I think he's asking this because he says, I just traded for him in fantasy. I think you're going to be okay, Brian, because I do think that we're going to see a lot more of Amari Cooper moving forward than we did yesterday, because you couldn't see less of him than we saw yesterday, really.
Yeah, for those fantasy football inclined, this is a good buy low moment for Amari Cooper, because he's not going to be as non-involved in terms of targets as he should be throughout the rest of the season, because he's just going to be on the field more. I mean, we already saw his snaps go up from, I think, 34% in his first week to just a little over 50% in his second week. And that was with 11 days on the job. So by the time he has 18 days on the job, it should go up into the 60s, maybe the 70s. And then by the time he's been in Buffalo for a month, he's probably going to be on the field 80 to 90%. And if you're just looking at it logically, if he's on the field, he's probably running a bunch of routes. Sure. And if he's on the field, he's probably getting open for a bunch of those routes, and Josh Allen's going to find
Is that a Diggs level? I know Davis was on the field like 90%
Yeah,
blocked,
Diggs-
but was Diggs in like the
Diggs-
80s typically?
Diggs most years was between 80 and 90.
So Cooper can get to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Is it
Not 100%.
Yeah, I knew what you meant.
is it premature to say right now, the sample size is so small, that you would like the group of receivers they have now more than you would like the group of receivers they had last year going into the playoffs, right? I mean, so right now it's basically, who do you like more? Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, and Khalil Shakir, or Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis, and Khalil Shakir? Now, I would personally say Diggs is still a more dynamic player than Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
But I think Keon might be more impactful already than what Gabe made big plays. I was the Gabe, I screamed it from the mountaintops that this guy was getting way too much heat whenever something went wrong. But then they got to the playoffs without him, and they desperately missed him. I mean, they were taking deep shots to Trent Sherfield. But the fact that we're even having the conversation, I think is a good sign.
It's a good sign for Keon, but I don't want to go too overboard with him too quickly.
Yeah.
Because he just had his best game as a pro in this one. The game before against the Titans, it was a busted coverage by the Titans that he took advantage of, and then he broke one tackle at the catch point on a quick slant that he was able to get up the field for us, which you can't take that away from him, but those are not normal, identifiable production that you can repeat. Yeah. So this game, what he just did is a good step in the right direction of what types of things you can repeat going forward. So I'm going with that Diggs group, because before Diggs, potentially blew his knee out yesterday, still an excellent route runner, great player. He's super impactful.
But real quick, yes, I would take the Diggs group too. But the big difference is 2 of the 3 guys in this group, ceiling. Big time ceiling. Yeah. We knew who Diggs was. We knew who Davis was. We didn't know about Shakir. We now know, holy mackerel, he's good. Yeah. And he can still grow. And Coleman is it's almost a blank canvas. We're waiting to see how good this guy can be. So it's an incomplete grade. These three could bypass that group, Matt, because the ceiling on Shakir and Coleman we haven't seen yet.
Would you take Trent Sherfield or Mac Hollins?
No, I would take Curtis Samuel. And I feel like we've kind of written off Curtis Samuel, not us, but a lot of people have forgotten about.
Maybe the Bills have too.
I think the Bills have too, but I think there's still a little untapped potential there. We'll talk about that at a different time. So we're going to take one more commercial break. We're going to continue the conversation online, and then we'll check back in a couple minutes.
Regardless of positions, if you just did a chart of favorite targets of Josh Allen,
Yeah.
in order,
Ooh, this is a
running
fun-
backs and tight ends.
This is a fun game.
Samuel is there's there's three wide receivers. Kincaid's ahead of him. Cook's ahead of him. That's 5.
Mac Hollins.
Who's 6th?
Mac Hollins.
Mac
might be ahead of him.
Collins.
So
Mac
Samuel's
Collins
no
would be-
better than 7th on the
Yeah.
target list.
Are you talking about? Are you?
I'm just talking about
putting running backs in there?
yes, running backs, tight ends. This if you had to put a chart of the best targets, group rank them 1, 2, 3.
Most of Curtis Samuel's targets this year have been
It's short crap.
Screens,
Right.
sweeps.
Except for the one play against. Oh gosh, who was
he
it?
got open down the
Yeah.
field for a big game.
It was the game before they traded for Cooper,
Yes, it
and the
was
defender fell on the play.
the Jets
game.
The Jets game. Down the sideline, in the
38
press
yarder.
box.
But Curtis
coming
Samuel
towards us.
is 7th, no better than 7th. He's
big,
ahead of Ray Davis.
Big Bo. Should we expect to see Ray Davis snaps increase? Cook is outstanding. Ray Davis offers a ton too. I think Ray Davis is great. I think Ray Davis is such a nice compliment to what James Cook can do. Big Bo, I think that I agree with your statement. I think that he should be on the field more just because I think he's like, doesn't it feel like he craves contact?
Yeah,
like
but
that dude is just looking to run people
okay,
over.
so how many snaps you taking away from Cook? And remember, all in this discussion of touches, the passing game now is all of a sudden blossoming.
The thing that I struggle with is that I don't know if I want to say I want to take snaps away from Cook, but I also don't know if I want to take snaps away from Ty Johnson because I still think he's
Well,
pretty
that's
valuable.
not gonna happen because his role is different from what they would typically give to Ray Davis.
Yeah.
Ty Johnson, his role completely is third down.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Cook had 17 runs yesterday. That's not a big number.
No, it's not a huge day
That's
at
what
all.
I'm saying. He had
It's not a huge
17
day at
runs,
all.
20 touches. That's a good size.
By the way, no Pacers game.
Oh, come on.
I know.
All right.
I know.
All right, 10 seconds left and then one final segment.
Oh, so we got to be quick here.
2.5 minutes for the final segment.
This is the final? Oh, okay. I thought there was.
Welcome back. One last question from Tom, and then we can end with some final thoughts here. Do the Bills end up ahead of the Texans by the end of the year? Oh, this is another. Somebody says that Diggs purposely dropped balls last year. That would be a whole different level of petty.
Look,
Do the Bills end up higher than the Texans this year? That's the question.
I'll go with yes.
I agree. I agree.
Just because I think their schedule is conducive to it.
Both 6-2, by the way, right now. For those of you who don't know the records,
Like the Bills' final 3 games is Patriots, Jets, Patriots.
Patriots, Jets,
And the
Patriots.
Jets,
2 of them are at home.
The Jets are probably going to be out of it by that point.
Sure.
And then on top of that, they've got the Colts mixed in there, and the Colts don't know if they want to start Joe Flacco or not at this point. They did not commit to Anthony Richardson today, by the way.
Yeah.
The Rams, who knows what version of the Rams they're going to be getting. They've got some tough ones in the Niners, the Lions, and the Chiefs and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
But that said, if you lose all 4 of those, you're
can
still 11-6.
You're not going to lose all 4 of those.
Yeah.
Probably not.
I don't think so. Yeah. I haven't looked at Houston's schedule, but I would say the way the Bills look now, the way the offense is playing, the way the defense is playing, and if Milano's back in another month or so and Hyde steps in, it's good.
Milano will be back when I think it is more socially acceptable to be listening to the holiday music, even though I will be starting that later this week.
And what is that? Right after Thanksgiving is socially acceptable?
You know what I
Christmas
do?
music?
And this is such a mess. I listen to it starting November 1st, and then I listen to it so much that by December, I'm sick of it. So I definitely listen to more Christmas music in November than I do in December, which doesn't make sense. But I kind of get over it. And then I just go back to regular music until maybe like the week before the holidays. And then I dip back in. He's looking at me like,
He's your friend.
He's your friend.
MRB, Merit Roll Beauvais.
Merit Roll Beauvais.
How long do you leave your decorations up?
So that was a conversation that my wife and I had today. I pitched this weekend. I think she pushed back on that idea.
No. I meant
After the holiday, how
After
long do you
holidays.
leave everything up?
I would say usually like first week of January.
Quick pull. Okay.
Quick pull, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is fine. All right, we got to say goodbye. There's a lot of holiday talk on this show, and it's never enough for Howard, for Joe.
Even Halloween
I'm Matt.
yet.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
A happy New Year.
Thank you for
Ho,
watching
ho.
on the stream, everyone. Appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, all.
All right.
Sabres losing 2-0, but apparently.